Welcome to the ELI5Bot channel, where we read 10 random questions and their most voted answers related to mathematics, economics, culture, biology, technology, and many more. Disclaimer.
All the material used on this channel is owned and/or copyrighted by either an individual or company, or available on the public domain. This channel may contain offensive, aggressive, and rude language or graphic content. ELI5Bot holds no responsibility for those who may be affected by it.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Wait, what? Don't panic. Up next at number 1, in the category Physics, the user Orange Worker asks, the passive magnetic levitation plan for the Hyperloop? Which the user Skip Weasel replied, IIRC it's because the movement of the magnetic fields past the stationary unpowered coils induces a current in the coil, as you'd expect it to. This current creates its own magnetic field in the coil, which acts in the opposite direction to the one causing the current in the first place, so they repel. It's sort of like the way eddy currents work in things like electricity meters and speedometers, only instead of using a bit of sheet metal, coils are used, probably for greater efficiency. Up next at number 2, in the category Other, the user RSJ19 is looking to know, how is hail formed? Which the user Sad Bunny replied, hail is formed when water condenses and freezes in a cloud formation. Large hail is created when those frozen droplets get blown back up into the higher altitudes, after collecting more moisture in the lower, warmer altitudes. This cycle repeats until the updrafts cannot keep the balls of ice up any longer. In a way you can gauge, albeit inaccurately, the strength of the wind by the size of the hailstone. At number 3, in the category Biology, the user Usexamichgoway is looking to know, how does the growth of a snail's shell work? The reply comes from Smorgan. They have a section of their body called the mantle, which constantly secretes a thin layer of protein, which hardens to make the shell. That's why if you look closely, you can see tiny ridges along the curl of the shell. At number 4, in the category Other, the user Christianxgloria asked, why do professors' titles at some universities include people's names? Which the user Concise Pirate replied, it's the name of a person who donated money to fund this position for a long time. They name the job after the donor, just as you see people's names on donated buildings. At number 5, in the category Other, the user B3ndleg asked, what is the purpose of Information Technology Infrastructure Library? The reply comes from Hoog Pilchard. At its most basic level, ITIL is really a set of best practices for IT service management. Without a methodical approach, service management can be something that's done on a fairly ad hoc basis, without any specific direction to it. Although ITIL doesn't seek to specifically set in stone how things should be done, as a framework it provides a useful tool set to build a company's IT service management organization and practices on. Up next at number 6, in the category Biology, the user TurtleTheCat asked, when people say someone was vaporized in an explosion, what exactly happens to the human body? The reply comes from Raxenberry. If you look up arc flash videos from power plants and switchgear, you can find some examples. Basically, if you read the article, arc flashes can reach 35,000 degrees, turning copper into vapor which expands 67,000 times in volume, as a plasma or superheated gas. Throw that at a human body and poof, not even a pink mist, just gone. And at number 7, in the category Other, the user Bananas and Peers asked, why does the Secret Service always wear suits regardless of weather when out with the president? The reply comes from Normanarb. The Secret Service that you can see are wearing suits. Think about the ones who are blended in all around in plain clothes though. And at number 8, in the category Engineering, the user Airide101 asked, how come a text message can take a couple seconds to send to somebody, but information in a multiplayer video game can transfer almost instantly? The reply comes from MagiaChat. Video games maintain an open connection. Most of the time spent sending texts, emails, etc. is spent establishing a connection. And at number 9, in the category Other, the user Route66 asked, "Why do objects discolor in the sun?" Which the user LollerSauce914 replied, "Like stuff like paint fading over time with sun exposure. A lot of the time, we color things with pigments that are at least somewhat sensitive to UV light. UV light can slowly break down the pigment into chemicals without color or with a different color." At number 10, in the category Economics, the user FreeFleaRooster asked, "Diamonds and gems as illicit currency?" Ender's Word answered the following: "Yes, this is a reality. There are a few reasons for this to be the case. 1. Ease of transportation. You can place more value into a smaller space using diamonds or something than you can using physical currency. If you need to smuggle the money across a border, or transport, or hide it easily, the gemstone, or other valuable item is easier to do that versus a briefcase or bag of cash. $1 million in USD and $100 bills weighs about 20 pounds and would fill one of those silver Samsonite briefcases you see in these movies. 2. Helps in laundering the money. If you have a gemstone or other valuable item, you can now sell that to someone legitimate, or who appears legitimate. They can then write you a check or wire you the money, and the bank receiving the money seems to have a reasonable source of those funds. They're the proceeds of a legal transaction, and everything is cool. As long as the diamonds or whatever aren't traceable to some specific source, it could be from anywhere and you selling it is reasonable. 3. Cash is like the most suspicious thing in the world according to banks and the government. If you deposit more than $10,000 into an account, a report gets filed. If you duck the $10,000 and do many deposits under $10,000, a report gets filed. If your account accepts a lot of cash in any amount, you'll end up on some list and a report gets filed. If you try to open many accounts and divide it, they'll detect it and a report gets filed. If you go to a real estate agent and try to buy a house or something in cash, you'll find that number 1, you usually can't, and they may report that too. If you're trying to conceal something, like the fact the money comes from you being an assassin, cash is like the hardest thing for you to be able to deal with. In fact, part of the reason the $100 is the largest bill issued by the US is precisely because they want cash to be something that is very hard to deal with in bulk. It's also the reason the EU will be phasing out the €500 note in 2018. TLDR, yes, because it's less suspicious and easier to move large values than cash. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.